The Drive-Thru is our monthly news episode and is sponsored in part by organizations like HPDEJunkie.com, CollectorCarGuide.net, Project Motoring, Garage Style Magazine, the Exotic Car Marketplace, and many others. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the Drive-Thru, look no further than www.motoringpodcast.net. Click About and then Advertising. Thank you again to everyone that supports the Motoring Podcast Network, Grand Touring Motorsports, our podcast Break Fix, and all the other services we provide.
All right, William, you're up.
So welcome to Drive-Thru episode number 45. This is our monthly recap where we put together a menu of automotive, motorsport, and random car adjacent news. So now let's pull up to the Drive-Thru window number 1 for some automotive news.
Well, folks, you heard it. It's our most returningest guest co-host on the Drive-Thru. It's William Big Money Ross filling in for Brad tonight. Welcome back to the show, William.
Thank you. Is that a returning? What was that word? Was that a
most
word?
returningest?
Technical term.
We're allowed to make things up on this episode. It's the only time we get some freedom, you know? But speaking of freedom, tonight we're going to talk about freedom of the open road, because you know what? All the obligatory Hallmark and federal holidays are behind us for a while. I think we're in that long haul here of the summer, right? The blistering heat, those wonderful things that go along with summertime. But it also means it's time for some road trips. So I feel like this is going to be our punch buggy, no punchbacks episode.
Potentially.
I would just like to interject that it's May. Summer has not started yet.
We're very close.
We are a month away.
Well, I thought Memorial Day was you're going by the actual official date.
I'm going by the actual, not till the end of June.
We're getting technical.
But the fact that it's 90 degrees this week tells me it's summertime.
It's hot.
Before we jump into our showcase about road tripping, we got to talk about the Cybertruck, because it's our HHR, it's our Dodge Dart, it's all those things rolled up into one. If it could get any worse.
Big old pile of dump. You had to see this coming. I mean, come on, knowing some about metal stamping and trying to stamp stainless and trying what they're doing. They try to do it as simple as possible by having all the straight edges and not really any contour or nothing. And people are cutting fingers off. And
if you own a stainless steel appliance in your kitchen, you know what it's going to look like in about 5 seconds.
If she said it once, she said it 100 times at this point.
Like, I called that from the beginning, and I saw one recently down the road. Like, I legit actually was like, oh crap, I'm gonna like speed up a little bit and catch them at the next light, so I wanted to see this thing in person. And it was nasty looking. The smudges all on the door, like where you would be handling it to enter.
Yep.
It just looked like vomit on the side of the door. And then to your point about stamping the stainless steel, it had this ripple effect that I was like, is this straight?
No.
Like,
no.
What is this?
But we've covered all that before. We actually have new news about the Cybertruck. And Tanya, this one literally blows my mind. This takes the cake. Would you like to inform our audience on what this latest development in Cybertruck nonsense is?
Are you talking about the gas pedal?
We covered that last time.
I'm talking about the shifter. Do you guys know where the shifter is?
Oh, I heard it's like in the visor or something.
Yes. Who designed this thing? Designed by a crazy person. Who puts transmission shifter buttons in the sun visor?
Oh, it's in the center. It's like where your rear view mirror would be.
Right.
A guy named Elon Musk that's got more money than he knows what to do with, and his egos.
But the thing is, it's like one of the most highly touched areas in the car, right? The sun visor, the rear view mirror, and the steering wheel.
No, this isn't. If you look at the picture, this isn't a highly touched area because this thing doesn't have a rearview mirror in it.
Oh.
Instead of a rearview mirror, you have this button panel. So it's really not a high touch area.
Why would you put it there?
I wouldn't put it there. I'm not defending its location there, but given what they've removed to place it there, it actually is not a high touch area, which just goes more to the shoddy craftsmanship if it falls out without you even needing to touch it.
Here's a question, and there could be a poll. What's worse looking or worse placement or how that design engineering is, that or on the CA Corvette center console thing?
Oh, and that Lincoln Mark Z had all the buttons up on the side of the dashboard too. Those were weird, but I think this takes the cake, because what I'm talking about in the high touch area, you're constantly moving that visor, you're messing around with the visor, and then your transmission shifter falls out and stops working. I mean, who in their right mind thought this was a good idea? And by the way, the hazard lights are there too.
Yeah.
What about the rear quarter panel? It just falls off.
Oh man, I saw that too. I'm like, what a
And it's
piece.
just like the interior frame is plastic.
It looks like when you take
Yeah.
the door card off of an old Volkswagen and you see the internals of how the window works. I was like, where's the frame to the back of the truck?
I mean, so did this thing not have to go through an HTSA crash testing?
This is why it's Tesla Gate. If you pay enough, if you got enough, which bill is his face on now? Like the $1,000 bill? If you have enough Elon Musk dollars, you can pay this thing through the NTSA.
If this gets hit, it's going to get obliterated by even a small vehicle.
Here's what they're doing, and I don't know to where the line's drawn, but there's a lot of these tests that are self-certifying.
Oh no.
That's good.
So it's just basically the manufacturer does it and goes, oh yeah, we're good. That could be one of the ones that fell under self-certification, which is pretty scary when you start thinking about it, because who's monitoring it? Eric, like you said, have enough Musk dollars, stamp of approval, make it rain.
What would Brad say if he was here?
Collusion. There's big money, Ross money, then there's Elon bucks. No, all kidding aside. So going into our road trip in here, would you go cross country in a Cybertruck?
No, you wouldn't make it.
No, you wouldn't make it any electric car.
You'd get somewhere in the Midwest with a big rainstorm, and then you'd be stranded because the car got wet.
Or because your shifter fell off?
Yeah.
So you're done. And then you would have hit some place with some sand, and then it would have gotten stuck. And so you're done again.
I just have to laugh. I mean, I don't know how much you watch this from when Foundation got launched and then hitting the either I'd say private off-market transactions and then the auctions, because they first want to go to auction. Well, there's quite a few that sold prior to that, just kind of off-market transaction, 225, 250.
Oof.
Basically within 4 weeks, almost paying sticker. And a lot of people are like, I don't even know if I want to pay sticker for these. Basically in 4 to 5 weeks, man, those things lost $150,000 in value.
They just sold one at Mecum and it came in at 105, which is just barely over sticker. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, they fell like a lead balloon. These people, hopefully, maybe they're just buying them just to have that little gimmicky thing for it, because you're not going to resell, make any money anymore on it. That's for sure.
What's funny about this is, especially the picture of the fender and everything that is now falling off, the gas pedal, the shifter, the fenders. I mean, God knows what else is going to fall off the Cybertruck, but it's literally the epitome of the expression, I'm going to drive it until it falls apart around me. It's brand freaking new.
That ain't going to be a far drive.
Talking about driving the Cybertruck cross country, one of our favorite places for most well-seasoned road trippers is to make a stopover at the closest Buc-ee's.
Gotta love Buc-ee's. Place is awesome.
Coming your way, William, there is rumor they've been posting on social media and in the Detroit Free Press that Buc-ee's is making its way north. There's billboards as far north as I-96 in Michigan, basically alluding to Buc-ee's coming that far into the Midwest.
Well, my understanding is they're supposed to be putting one down there by Dayton. Somewhere between Dayton and Cincinnati, I think on 75.
Oh, wow.
This was just a couple of months ago that supposedly they bought the land, everything like that.
They found a small ranch in Ohio to purchase.
Yeah, they
put
found a couple
Buc-ee's.
thousand acres. But yeah, somewhere down like by Dayton and Cincinnati, I want to say it was on 75 there, that corridor, because it would make sense, because if they get up into Michigan, that's that straight shot. It's going up, and like I know going down, which I'm going to be going that way in about a week and a half, is going down, hitting 71, 75, and then just right when you get into Kentucky, you hit that big one. Well, they're all big.
Tanya, you were in Texas, some of the biggest Buc-ee's in the country down there, because everything's bigger in Texas. And for those that don't know about Buc-ee's, what's it all about? Why are we talking about a gas station?
Well, they also were founded out of Texas, so of course they're going to be bigger and badder down there. They have an advertisement that they have, I don't know if it's the world's or whatever, cleanest bathrooms that you'll ever find at a rest stop. And damn if that's not true.
Oh, God, they smell great too.
The one in between going like Houston to Austin.
You made us stop there when we went to Formula One.
Yeah, we stopped and you went into the restroom and you could have had a party of like dozens of people. It was so huge. It was like a palace and it was sparkling clean. It was amazing. Whatever faux marble they were using, it was glamorous. But not only the bathrooms. I mean, they've got, I don't know how many pumps outside.
I think a minimum small ones is like 200 plus pumps. They're packed. Almost every pump is being used.
How many Tesla chargers at the Buc-ee's?
2.
200 gas pumps and 2 Tesla chargers. I love it. It's brilliant.
Making no money on that electricity. Of course, you would think though, with that big ass store they have, that they'd be like, "Know what? Let's get in it because these people are stuck here for a couple hours, especially only half the chargers will be working anyways, and they're gonna be stuck there for 3-4 hours."
It's a Tesla quality.
There's like the food services, then there's the gift shop, and then I think there was like the bait and tackle shop, and it was like anything that you could possibly think you needed on your road trip, you can get at a Buc-ee's. Like it's more than just a gas station, it's an experience.
The first time I ever went was just recently, back last fall, whatever, when I drove down to Tennessee. I don't know if they got the gimmick down, but I mean, they're banging it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Michiganders, there could be a Buc-ee's coming near you. So stay tuned to social media and the Detroit Free Press for updates on the newest Buc-ee's coming to the Midwest. So I'm excited for that too.
They'll go gangbusters, man. They'll have the legal pot. People could just sit there. They're pumping their gas, eat an edible, go inside and just stuff their face with the pulled pork. Jeez, you wouldn't have to leave all day.
That's a trip into itself. That's a different kind of trip.
Yeah, it's a different road tripping, but it's all the road tripping it is.
You don't want to get yourself into too much trouble. You can get into a little bit of trouble there with the Buc-ee's stuff, but don't get into trouble like Joey Jordan did on his big South American adventure. So go back into our catalog and search for Joey's South American adventure. That's an excellent road trip story. It's a journey, man and machine, coming of age, 26,000 miles in a Toyota Hiace that he bought sight unseen, left from LA and drove all the way to Patagonia. Really, really cool story if you haven't heard it before. So go back, and if you've heard it before, it's time to revisit it. So check it out in our catalog. Looking back into our catalog a little bit as we're thinking about road tripping, we did an episode with Brian Kreider from Boulder Camper Vans. So that might be worth a re-listen if you're thinking about some longer road trips. There was a huge craze during COVID. People doing the small house and going off grid, and I'm going to have my camper van. So there's a lot of those in the market, but if you're looking for something completely custom, built to your specifications, Boulder Camper Vans is definitely a place to look. And Brian is an expert in that field.
Speaking of, the road trip, I came across it. I posted it up in a couple spots on LinkedIn, and that was, I think USA Today did it. Top 10, I would say glamping, but they take the retro old school travel trailers and it's a hotel. They're all set up. So you got it's a travel park, but you're just renting it. You show up. It was all the old cool retro ones, but they had the top 10 around the United States. That's kind of the cool thing this day and age is you can find some really cool places to stay. I know back in my day, the cool thing was staying at the Holodome. That was the shiznit.
You mean the Hojo? You're staying at the Hojo, the Howard Johnson's?
The Hojos. So you find those I'm living large. So many cool places to stay. I mean, you have a lot of fun this day and age and really kind of getting on a 2 to 3 week road trip out there and have some fun.
Well, you bring up a really good point because maybe a lot of our petrol head audience out there doesn't know, but if you have kids or grandkids in 4th grade, it's a nationwide program that if you have a child in 4th grade right now, you get access to all the national parks for free. You don't have to pay the fees for camping, any of that kind of stuff. And it applies to your whole family as long as you have one kid in the 4th grade. So if you have a second kid coming into 4th grade with older kids, you can take everybody on these trips to Yellowstone and Sequoia and all these places completely for free. You
can also just buy a national park pass for not that much money.
That's outstanding.
So lots of things to look forward to. I mean, look into your Department of Natural Resources, Parks Department, things like that. There's a lot of really cool things you can do. It doesn't have to be rustic camping with vaulted toilets and stuff like that, really going off grid, but there's a lot of excellent places that you can go for not a lot of money and enjoy that kind of Griswold family vacation as you're heading across country.
Just don't get out of your car and try to walk up and pet a bison or go after the bear and the cubs or anything like that. You have some freaking common sense.
Well, to your point, you can't go on a road trip if you don't have a reliable set of wheels. It's up for debate on whether or not we could take a Cybertruck cross country. Somebody's going to try it. Somebody's going to do it. That's unless, of course, you have a Nissan Altima, right, Tanya?
Mm-hmm.
That'll stand the test of time. Cockroaches and nuclear winter and Nissan Altimas, those will be here till the end of time. So it's all good. And as I like to remind Brad, now that we're halfway through the 2024 car buying year, let's talk about what's officially dead going into September when the 2025 year kicks off. Is there anything on this list that surprises you or anything you should pick up as maybe a cross-country car?
Well, what annoys me about this list is things like the Chevy Bolt EV. But no, it's not. Because you literally talked about how You're actually bringing it back, and there's going to be a second generation. So there's just not going to be one in the 2024 year, but it's not like they're discontinuing it for eternity.
Right.
I hate confusing stuff like this.
Exactly. And some of these Chryslers, we already knew they were dead 2 years ago. They made that announcement. It's not that big of a deal. The TT died last year, the Audi R8. I was like, they still make that? I thought they stopped producing that a couple of years ago. So some of these are like, why the hell are they on the list? And then there's one for William on here.
Yeah, your F8. I mean, I'm horrible in distinguishing between the models of like you got your 488, your F8, your Pista, all this stuff. They look so similar. When they came out with the 296, this became almost redundant. What's the point? I mean, that 296 is supposed to be your entry level. It's got more horsepower. It's a better car. Yeah, that's not surprising. It's going by the wayside. My thought probably be next year is the SF90. I don't see why they'll keep that either. They're not selling them. No one's buying them, which is kind of strange. I mean, it's got all that horsepower, everything like that, but people don't want them. I kind of get it. Everything kind of stopped at the 458. Once they started going turbocharging, it was like, what's the point? That's one of those ones. I was going to say this. Like, wait, that one's going away? Oh, it's still here?
Yeah, right. It's still around.
Like with R8. Wait, I thought that thing was done.
The other one that I'm sort of surprised but not is that Ford Focus based Ford Transit Connect, the smaller little carrier van. Those were becoming really popular here, at least on the East Coast, as they were replacing like the bigger Chevy Savannas and stuff for like electricians and some plumbers that only need smaller equipment to carry around. Like the Comcast guy, why is he driving around in a Suburban, right? The Ford Transit's more than big enough for what they need to do. Those coax cables aren't that big. So that's kind of surprising that that's going away. Wondering what Ford's going to replace that with. As you go down the list, there's more Chrysler stuff that's not a shocker. The Kia Stinger, we already knew about that. Mazda is always kind of doing the hokey pokey. The McLaren 720, again, another supercar that I thought they stopped building, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with those. Started with the MP412, whatever, C, blah, 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 blah. Then you go into the 570, then it went into the 675, then the 720, now it's the 750. There wasn't leaps and bounds in regards to what they think they're changing on these cars. I know when they went from the 675 to the 720, I think they had it was an all new tub. Then again, after that, it's just engineering and horsepower, that kind of stuff. To your point, yeah, it's like, didn't even know they were still making it. And like, why would you still be making it when you have the 750? Some of the stuff's just baffling. You got to wonder if it's just the complete order books or what. I don't know. But I love I guess you would say, the moniker or the label these things are getting, because I guess they're just absolute nightmares to own in regards to electronics, everything like that. I guess like the 720, 750 is so bad, but the 570, 685 and all those, especially the MP12 4Cs, whatever, they call them McCarrans now.
McCarrans, I love that. That's awesome.
It's like, what?
There's a laundry list of Benzes here, which I'm sure breaks Tanya's heart because she's a big fan of Mercedes. And did you notice a common theme outside of the Metris between all of these Benzes, Tanya?
No, apparently.
They're all basically coupes.
I was going to say that, and then I was like, well, there is the sedan 4-door.
The CLS has that low roof, like a Passat CC and all that stuff that they were messing with for a while there. I'm sort of glad to see that go away because I thought it was kind of awkwardly shaped.
I mean, are we surprised? I mean, in the market here, nobody wants a 2-door, really.
They're such good looking cars.
I thought they got rid of CLS for a couple years and brought it back.
It's the same question I have about the Maxima, which is on this list as well. Tanya corrected me like a couple months ago. Maxima's still around. They still make. Well, here it is on the death list. Rest in peace to the Maxima.
Spoke too soon. I'm disappointed to see the Renegade going away.
Yeah, well, the Fiat 500X is going away, and they're the same car, basically, so that's the end of that.
Obviously, production planning and how they go about doing this. Their plan was, all right, in 2024, this will be the last. So their plan is out, and then their mindset back then was, oh, we're going EVs, everything's going to this. Now everyone's second guessing it because no one wants to buy the electric cars. The infrastructure's not there. I mean, it's all just kind of hitting the fan, and again, these coming years are going to be interesting in regards to how this all plays out. These companies invested billions of dollars doing these things. You have some just completely stopping the factories they were building. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes about here.
I saved the best for last. I think it needs some faux wood paneling down the side. This is the German version of the Griswold family truckster, the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo. I think it's probably the only car on this list I would go cross country. And I'm a huge fan of station wagons, but I understand why this didn't sell. Who wants a Porsche station wagon? It doesn't make any sense.
I love this thing though. I think it's awesome.
I mean, if you're a fan of the RS6 Avant or any of the other station wagons from the VAG portfolio,
I'd buy the RS6 first before I bought that, but I like those things. They're great. It's twice as much as the RS6, so why not just buy the RS6 because you basically got the same car.
It's not who wants a Porsche wagon. It's who wants a wagon? Because honestly, who wants a Porsche SUV? I'm sorry, they have no business being an SUV either. But people like SUVs. People don't like wagons in this country.
how many times is Enzo spinning in his grave with that Puro Sangue coming to the market?
That Mazda CX whatever.
Yeah, that Pearl Sangway drives like that thing's phenomenal.
I mean, you've seen the memes where they put the SUV next to the Mazda SUV and they look identical. And it's like, good thing Ferrari spent millions of dollars to make a Mazda.
Here's the kind of question, like say with this, with the Sport Turismo, is like, all right, they're built in limited numbers anyways. Who out there bought it and is just sitting on it because they figured in 20 years,
It's going to be worth something.
yeah, because they built, God, maybe only 15, 20,000 of them total production run, maybe, if that.
Do you remember when low volume was like less than 50, less than 100,
Yeah.
less than 2,000? It's creeped up to, I have a low production car. There's only 35,000 of them made. I'm like, wait, what? Got a couple extra zeros on there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting stretched just a little bit too much. I mean, yeah, it's still a small number, but they talk about like with the F40 because there's about 1,300 of them built. In my mind, that's a lot for what it is. But people, oh, it's rare. They slow productions. And I'm like, man, there's 1,300. There's quite a few, and never a problem finding one for sale. I'm in the boat with you and saying, look, if it's 50 or less, okay, that's low production.
This next one might be low production too, but what would a discussion about road tripping be if we didn't talk about some open air motoring, right? That's the other side of taking a road trip. Throw the top down on your Miata or your C-Class Mercedes or your Ford Mustang convertible, whatever you've got, right? Drop the top, jam it in fourth gear, and let's let it rip. Toyota's coming to the table with something, and I don't even know how to explain this.
Is that a Hot Wheel?
Tanya, what is this thing? Is this a cappuccino? Is this a K car?
Can't tell. It's unfortunate.
Wait, is that your description of it? It's unfortunate.
Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect.
That sums it up. It's an unfortunate stylistic choice.
So what are we talking about here?
It's supposed to be a Miata fighter competitor.
Toyota is bringing to market, supposedly, allegedly. We'll see if it happens. Hopefully it'll come in a GR edition. The SFR, not to be confused with the FRS. It's a weird combination of style choices, as you point out. But yes, they're targeting the Mazda Miata directly with a tiny two-door drop top.
Well, I mean, is that just a Targa? Because the way that looks, it looks like it's just a Targa.
Well, it's all renderings, right? So we don't know, but it sort of reminds me of the ND Miata fixed roof.
Yeah, the RF or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which that thing is cool, by the way. I love that thing's awesome. You don't see many of those. There you go. There's a rarity.
But we know what it looks like
It's
because
ugly.
it's not a render.
No.
This is a concept car from 2015 that they're actually just considering now making.
It looks like it was getting in the dryer too long. That's just weird looking.
Here's the thing about this ugly duckling. I'm actually okay with it because A, I'm hoping for a GR edition. B, I got to go back to the time in the early 2000s when the Z3, the TT, the Honda S2000, the MRS, and the Lotus Elise all came to market basically at the same time. There was like this glut of convertibles and Targas for the first time in like decades. The MRS, the MR2 Spider, basically, the MRS, the Toyota, was the ugliest of the bunch if you compared it to the Audi or compared to the BMW, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you were behind the steering wheel, it had the biggest smile factor because I got to drive all of them. So it sort of didn't matter what it looked like. And knowing what Toyota's capable of, let's put that 300 horsepower, 3-cylinder turbo in there from the Yaris or the Corolla. This thing's going to be a rocket ship. I'm all about this. I would love to try to drive this car. I would say it's going to be a great track day car, but probably not on your list of luxury convertibles that you would go on a road trip with.
I think they should be doing this. Like, cool, yes, keep doing these cool cars, but my goodness, can we make it look a little better?
No, it's got to have that Prius effect. It's got to be ugly for a long time. And then suddenly overnight, it's like, wait, it looks like a real car now. No offense to Prius owners, just that we all agree the Gen 5 Prius is really good looking compared to everything else.
Yeah, it's a sharp looking car.
I got a chance to ride in one at the Green Grand Prix. I won't belabor that.
But I mean, they're really strongly influenced by the cappuccino, and that's not a good thing.
Have you ever seen one of those in person?
Not in person.
There was one parked in the same parking lot as me. The guy would bring it on Fridays, and I would bring a Mark IV. Granted, I mean, I bring my station wagon, which is slightly longer than a Golf of that period, but I thought I was in a 68 Lincoln in comparison to the Cappuccino. It's tiny.
That's fine. The size isn't the problem. It's not attractive.
It's a design choice. That kind of wraps out our road trip and showcase. Although, as our audience knows, that we'll be pulling on that thread throughout the rest of the episode. But it's time we turn and talk a little bit about Porsche, Volkswagen, and Audi news. So, what's going on, Tanya?
So there's actually a couple of tidbits. One of the latest things apparently is that the ID.7,
Passat.
the electric Passat, apparently is delayed without further notice.
Wow. So
Well,
indefinitely.
I mean, like they're not saying when, I don't know if it's indefinitely, but there's not we're just delaying it a couple months. But it's to Big Money Ross's earlier point, EV sales are down. People aren't buying.
Well, people weren't buying the Passat either. So it's sort of a lose-lose situation in this case. Sedans are on the decline. I mean, wagons are like dinosaurs, like we mentioned. I mean, if you're not in the SUV, CUV market, or EUV, I guess it would be these days, people aren't turning their attention to that. So Volkswagen coming to market with a full-size sedan, EV, petrol, or otherwise, they already got burned by this. I think the ID.7 is cool. I know you got to see them in person at CES a couple of years ago, but it's like, okay, day late and a dollar short, VW.
I think the other bit of interesting VW news, which is late breaking as of today, basically, is apparently they're in some very strong negotiation, partnering discussions with India to, I guess, have a production facility there.
So Tata's gonna make Volkswagens now?
It's a very brief article that just says they're in discussions about a passenger car production in India.
Or passenger car. I was thinking the big MAN trucks because Volkswagen owns MAN. They own a lot of other stuff too. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that could make sense, because they do have a lot of lorries in India, stuff like that.
I mean, it could make sense if it's the production facility for that geographic area, right? If they're trying to increase sales in India or even China.
Or reduce shipping too, right? That's a whole nother
Right,
problem.
exactly. Like you're nearer to that market if you put it there.
And they've already done this before. So this isn't foreign to Volkswagen because they have a plant in China as well, or multiple ones, I guess. But the funny part about that is if you look at some of the photographs, sometimes you're like, when was this photo taken? Because they're still building the Quantum, like from the 80s in China today. They call it the Shanghai. I'm sort of wondering, like, what retro Volkswagen are they going to build in India for the next 30 years? Maybe that's how we'll get new Scirocco's or something. They'll just be built in India.
Hey, if they build a new Scirocco, hey, built in India, wherever.
Dude.
Yeah.
I would stand in line.
Bring it back.
What has that song go? I would walk 5,000 miles. I would do that for a Scirocco.
They've been teasing, little things here and there. Like every couple of years, they drop it or there's a drawing or something. Oh, Scirocco might be, everyone gets all in a tizzy. And then, no.
I got to see street versions of the Scirocco R when I was in Le Mans last year, and everyone that went by, it just soul crushing. I could have this, but they won't bring it. No. Well, another thing that apparently is super disappointing, we're talking about new cars that are going away, but there's also a shortage of new cars that people really want. Some clever gentleman out there decided that, well, you know what? He couldn't get a test drive in a Ford Maverick, so he just headed on down to his local U-Haul. 1995, you can test drive a Maverick for an entire day. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, well, you get an extended test drive. You can actually put it through some real world paces.
And you didn't have to deal with the sales guy. It cost you $20.
Yeah, he's like, here's $20. Pound salt, buddy. I'm out of here.
Go pick up some mulch at Home Depot.
Oh, heck yeah. That always baffled me this day and age. You're minimum 40, 50 grand. All right, let's go on this 10-minute test drive where you don't go on the highway. You go on the highway for like one exit, which is maybe a quarter of a mile. go here. Oh, don't go over 25. It's like, get back. So what do you think? You ready to buy it?
What? No.
Every now and then, either you got a new salesperson or you find a decent dude and said, oh, you can take it for a couple hours. Just sign this, give me your insurance card, and there you go. But I don't think you'll find that this day and age because inventories are just nothing.
A little different in the exotic car market, though, isn't it? You got that F40, you push it about 14 feet, and then you ask the guy, so you want to buy it?
14 feet, maybe 14 inches.
Talking about buying and selling cars, I've been saying for a while, I got to pull back on some previous episodes because I am still very much enamored, smitten, if you will. Not necessarily in love with, but I am still a huge fan of the Nissan 400Z. And I've asked Brad, I've asked Tanya, I've asked William before in conversation, have you seen one on the road lately?
Yeah.
One, right?
Yeah. Seen one on the road lately.
They're just non-existent. Here's the irony in all this. So we got Altimas that won't die. They'll be here at the turn of nuclear winter. We've got 400Zs that we don't know if they're being built. And Nissan is telling dealerships to sell all their cars at a loss to basically liquidate the inventory. Again, a power move by the French. I don't understand what the heck is going on at Nissan. Like, they build some cool stuff. Why do people just not care?
It's a really good question.
Really? Really? I mean, you're right, actually. Let's go through some of them. We have the Altima. We have the Taltima. We have the Jarrett Altima. We have the Becky wants to go to the Multima. You're right. There are so many different Nissans to choose from that it's shocking that people aren't getting the nude Z.
And I don't know if it's the fact is when you have such a limited choice in regards to models. I mean, because you only have the couple, to pick from. It's not like you got this breadth of like 20, 30 different models you can, state in there. It's kind of like, well, Mitsubishi really didn't build that good of a car anyways. But same premise, when they had the Lancer, the Evo was outstanding. That's the thing, though, is I think if you don't have that wide range of choices, unless you have a very specific type of car, that's the only reason you're going to go there. Again, like Mitsubishi, the Lancer, but then, Nissan, the 400Z.
And the other thing is, I think the most 400s I've seen in any one place is they're actually running them in World Challenge right now. There's a handful of them there. I'm super excited about that. Like, they've got them on track. The Nissans are doing well. It's not following that old adage of race on Sunday, sell on Monday. Nobody's run into a dealership to buy a 400Z. And it's just like, compared to the Corvette, to the Porsches, to the Mustangs, to the Supra, to everything that's available right now, the Z is still a bargain. And granted, that drag race thing that Camisa did against the Supra and the Mustang, it didn't really help the Z in any way. And, they made all these excuses about, well, if it had better tires and if it had this and that. Okay, it's big, it's heavy, whatever. But if you want to buy, and I've said it before, a modern Japanese/French 928 Grand Tourer, the Z is the car to have. And it looks good. It's got good performance numbers. It might not be as good as a Corvette or whatever, but it depends on what you want. And that's the car as a sports car that I would take cross country. Like, I've sat in one. They're really comfortable. They're really nice. They're very well appointed. You fit well even if you're tall. Why not for 50 grand compared to other things you can buy?
You won't have any mechanical issues. They're, I don't want to say bulletproof, but built like a brick shithouse. I mean, they're just solid cars.
It goes back to the 3-spoke steering wheel of the R32, and it's got the DNA of the Altima, right, Tanya?
Yeah.
I think I might have found the problem, okay, with what's going on in Nissan. First of all, they lost Captain Marvel. Brie Larson's out. So there's a whole new batch of 2024 commercials, even though, as I said earlier, we're basically halfway through 2024 at this point. But I was listening to this commercial because you can't watch streaming television anymore without commercials. It's just sort of a given. It's everywhere. And I hear this in the background, and the punchline to this new commercial, because it's full of like nobodies and extras, right? Oh, that Sentra is what I need. And I'm like, wait, what? So I was like, I got to go find this commercial. And I couldn't find it, but it led me down a rabbit hole investigating the new Sentra. And I'm like, this is a car that I would like never look at, right? Back in the day in the 90s, when the Sentra was cool, like with the SER model, and it would compete with smaller hot hatches and kind of sporty sedans that were out there. It was like, oh yeah, Sentra, that's awesome. But they got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So outside of the marketing woes that Nissan has, I think I found the problem. And I'm going to pose it to you guys as one of our Guess Who type of questions. How much horsepower do you think a Sentra makes And how much do you think it weighs?
The new one,
Yes, the 2024 Sentra.
it's the size of a Maxima, I think, or an Ultima. Okay. So it's just an Ultima in disguise. So it probably weighs in the 3000s easily, upper 3000s.
Okay, Willie, what do you think it weighs?
4,200 pounds. It's got about 135 horsepower.
I'll be a little more generous. Let's say 150. Well, what is it? 210?
Official numbers from Nissan, it weighs 3,122 pounds
Okay, lighter than I thought.
at 149 horsepower.
Oh,
Ooh.
we were in the ballpark. We were close. Tanya almost nailed it.
Japanese engine, though, torque numbers are down.
Got to rev the piss out of it. Is it a 4-cylinder or a 3?
2-liter 16 valve, no turbo.
It doesn't get out of its own way.
You know, with that awesome Nissan CVT transmission. So it's like winding up the hamsters with a rubber band.
Yeah, ringers.
I can only imagine what that's like to drive because I've driven the Lancer Cross SUV thing, and that was a miserable experience. Another vehicle that weighed about 3,200 pounds made 150 horsepower. And to Tanya's point, it can't get out of its own way. So that's the thing. Give it 210, give it 225, 240, bump it up a little bit so that the driving experience aligns itself with the commercials. Because if you listen to these commercials, it's like the sport tune handling and the precision shifting and the acceleration. And I'm like, 149 horsepower does 85 with a tailwind and a Silverado pushing it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on. So did you guys hear about the money shift heard around the world?
The GR Corolla?
Yeah. Can you believe this? So this guy apparently grabs like, I don't know, third gear instead of fifth gear in a crazy like upshift, basically revs the motor to like almost $9,000. And Toyota tells him it's going to cost $42,000 to replace the engine. And I'm like, wait, doesn't the GR Corolla only cost like 40 grand?
Yeah.
How can it cost that much?
I think that's a big FU from Toyota.
Just go buy a new car.
Yeah, they're not going to fix that under warranty. They're like, you're a putz, go back to learning how to drive. Mistakes happen. Honest mistakes happen. But this is why I talk about, and I recently re-released our time trials school. And in that, there is a lesson in there about shifting. There's even a video that I have on our YouTube channel about this, about learning to change your hand position, especially when you're dealing with gears 4, 5, and 6, being able to push it away from your body. I've seen so many people even make the mistake at the track where they go grab fourth and they end up grabbing second. The next thing you know, the motor's doing 11,000 RPM and the car is tumbling ass over tea kettle down the front straightaway. And it's like, take your time. Those power shifts, stuff you see on the drag racing cars, they're built to do that. Plus there's sequential gearboxes, stuff like that, or those other, multiple lever shifters. I forget what those things are called that they have. But a standard street car, you've already lost the race if you think that power shifting from a stoplight is going to save you at the end of the day. Either you got it or you don't. Come on, guys. Save the clutch. Be mechanically sympathetic. Just take it easy. Learn from this guy. 42 grand because he missed a shift. That's also why I think they should put manuals back in race cars, but that's a whole nother debate for another day.
Well, that's what I've been saying for F1.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
But before we switch gears here, I want to take a moment to let you guys in on a little bit of a promo that we have going on. So our friend, Professor John Summers, the motoring historian, did some research on these Oxido LED headlights. And so I listened to episode 19 of the Motoring Historian, and he was talking about this with Gammy, and he's going to put them in the Mustang and this and that. And he's got a promo code and all this kind of thing. And so I was like, you know what? I too suffer from the same problems John did. So if you love driving your 80s, 90s, or 2000s classic with those terrible fogged over plastic headlights and all the woes that we have, some of us change them over to European glass lenses and whatnot. If you're tired of having to run home early from the car show because your headlights are terrible, or if your car is fast enough that you can actually outdrive the shine of your headlights, these headlights are something you should really consider. I bought a set, I put them in my car, and they made a huge difference. I posted the before and after on our old Instagram at Grand Touring Motorsports, so check out the pictures. But if you want better headlights without needing special ballast, without rewiring, without any hassle, these literally drop in. They're designed to replace your brand name Sylvanias and whatever that you have in your car today. Grab a set of these Oxido LED headlights. Use the code Motoring Historian That's all one word, Motoring Historian, to get 15% off your order of Auxito LED replacement headlights and see the difference for yourself.
Are you one of these people now that I hate on the road that has these blinding, piercing headlights?
Maybe. But I can see. And my test drive was at night in the rain, and it was glorious. I thought I was driving my Jeep, which actually has HIDs. It was awesome. I was like, I haven't been able to see that well out of a 20-plus-year-old Volkswagen in a very long time. And they weren't expensive at all. I mean, 50, 60 bucks for a set of headlights, headlight bulbs. Plus, then you take the discount off that. It was awesome. Well, it's time we switch to random new EVs and concept cars. What you got for me, Tanya?
We've got a French one for you.
Okay. All right. I'm excited.
You won't be. It's your favorite French car of all time.
No, come on.
It's a Citroën.
Oh, God damn it. Tell me it's not the pill bug.
Yes, of course it is.
Oh, my God.
There's discussion that the DS brand
No.
is going to
La 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 la.
come back,
La la la. I'm not listening.
be reborn, if you will.
La 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 la.
This time
Nope.
with the electrical fairies assistance.
Oh, come on.
But they go on further to say that something to the effect that basically they could share the platform with the new Dodge Charger Daytona. So what are you saying? It's like some 700 horsepower Citroën DS? Does that change your opinion?
The pill bug has turned into a caterpillar. Oh, my God.
It is sprouting its wings. It shall soon fly like a butterfly.
I get it. It's the car that saved de Gaulle and blah, 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 and all this. I hate these things. I hate them with a passion. If I could obliterate them, I would. I would find such sport in doing antics like Top Gear did with Citroën DSs. There's something about that car that just gets under my skin. And to hear that it's coming back now you've ruined it for me.
Would you drive cross country in that or the Cybertruck?
Oh, okay. Damn it. Why you got to do that to me?
I do the Citroen and then drive it into the ocean.
See, William's on my wavelength because I was thinking the same thing. Am I allowed to just beat the heck out of it throughout this entire trip? Can I burn it at the end?
Find a pier somewhere just right in the Pacific.
Dukes of Hazzard style, just pow.
And the test me, let's see if this thing can float.
It looks like an upside down boat.
Yep.
God, I hate them so much with a passion. I love a lot of other French cars. We start talking about the DS, it's all downhill, but I digress. We got to switch to Brad's favorite section of the drive-thru, Lost and Found. But this time, he's not here to tell us about all the cars on the internet that are still sitting on dealership lots, considered air quotes new, like, the 2016 Ford GT for $850,000 and things like that. But instead, we have William. So, William, what's hot in your part of the world? Any interesting cars for sale in the market right now?
It's funny is our friend Don over at Garage Style Magazine a few months back, he had messaged me because he had come across, it was a 1970s, early, some four-door family road thing. He's looking for a car for one of his kids. Low miles, reasonably priced, like $5,500. And he goes, "Are you close to wherever this thing was at?" We go, "Yeah, I'm only like hour and a half. So I'll go look at it." So that kind of opened up the floodgates to really kind of go into Facebook Marketplace every day and like see what's out there. And I gotta tell you, I mean, you hope they're legit, but there's some really cool old caddies. The old Buicks, the old four-doors, big, just Barca-Lounger front seats. For road tripping. Yeah, it's got 150 horsepower maybe, but it's got 300 foot-pound of torque.
How big is that motor again? 7, 8, or 9 liters?
Yeah, I'm about to say it's probably 10 liters. Getting about maybe 8 miles to the gallon.
You mean gallons per mile? Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about going across country doing some road tripping, there's your rides right there. The thing will cruise all day long, 89 miles an hour, just revs will be at about 1,200, 1,400. I mean, it's nice and low. It's quiet, just smooth. The suspension on that thing, you could go over a parking curb and you wouldn't feel it.
It's fun you bring that up because that reminds me of the episode that we did with Bill Warner from Amelia Island. He was in the original One Lap. He's done the Cannonball, all those kinds of things. But he talked about the original One Lap. And he did it in a Lincoln that they modified for that. And I thought that was really cool. And back then, One Lap of America was One Lap of America.
Yeah.
Not like they do today where it's like sort of these clover leaves around South Bend, Indiana. Yeah, I think you're onto something. Those old American kind of sofas on wheels, especially old station wagons like our Grand Marquis, they're like the
Yeah.
family truckster. Those are great cross-country vehicles.
People might get a little leery because they're saying, well, it's in the winter, snow, that stuff like that. But you have a lot of those where it was grandma's car,
Yeah.
grandpa's car. They didn't drive in the winter. They maintained those things meticulously. They got all the records. I mean, you come across some really cool stuff. Go out there between 5 and 10 grand, you can get something really cool that's gonna drive, and you can work on it yourself. It's so simple. You don't have all these electronics, you have all this crap in there. You can just lift up the hood, you can see everything. There's the motor, there's the battery, everything's there. New car side though, you go buy any dealer's lot, they don't have any cars.
Rent them from U-Haul, right?
Yeah, go to U-Haul and rent there.
This next one, I need somebody to explain to me. I don't get this. I mean, we talked about TikTokers and YouTubers doing crazy stuff with like the Hummer and some of these supercars. They end up wrecking them about 10 seconds after they get them. But is this new math?
These stupid people that don't understand how interest rates work.
So the headline reads, TikToker gets rid of her Chevy Tahoe after paying $50,000 in interest.
$10,000 only came off the principal, and kind of goes into I guess you would say math skills. They were able to justify their $1,400 a month payment for the Tahoe, but they said the $1,600 a month for her husband's Silverado, which was a better vehicle, newer, they didn't make sense. So all that extra $200 a month, that puts you over the top.
Because TikTok wasn't paying for the Silverado, it was only paying for the
There you
Tahoe.
go. Yeah. But here's the thing though, is because she was paying what, 10% or something interest on 11%. This was 3 years ago when rates were cheap, everything like that. I hate to say what, but someone saw her coming and just stuck her. You shouldn't be paying more than 4%, especially on a new vehicle.
Okay, and this is where Brad usually chimes in because, he's a finance guy and he's looking at all this kind of stuff and he's done loans before and all that. And I think, and this is just me sort of looking from the outside, if your line of income is TikTok, I'm not saying that was her primary line of income, but if I'm looking at your debt to income ratio and the stability of your income, TikTok is sort of fleeting in comparison to having, I don't know, like a real job with a real paycheck and a W-2 where they can say, okay, well, you're making this much and you have collateral and you have this and you have that. But if you're basing it solely on crowdfunding and crowdsourcing and social media and stuff, that's a high risk loan for a $90,000, $100,000 vehicle, right?
Oh yeah, you're going to get cracked on that interest rate. There's always, all those different ways to skin a cat. Go get an equity line, home equity loan. Do something that's you're not killing yourself, but having to keep up with the Joneses. So she's doing that through TikTok. Why did you need a 2022 loaded up Chevy Tahoe when your TikTok stuff is nothing to do with vehicle? I mean, why?
For the gram.
Yeah. And then the husband goes out and gets himself a brand new truck to boot too.
I never advocate for this because especially as a collector, I mean, you know this, William, I'm like lease versus buy. You can make those arguments, but these days the cars are so expensive. She's only had this thing like a year and a half or 2 years. You paid $50,000 in interest. I'm going to say the simple math says that actually leasing it for the 18 months that she had it or whatever would have been more sound and fiscally responsible than the way this was carried out.
I'm an advocate to never buy a new car because you're always going to lose right off the bat anyways. I mean, the last new car I ever bought off the floor was my C4 Vet. That was the last one I got. And that was just like, hey, I wanted to get it 6-speed, but it's just, I was 24. I didn't give a shit. So I was like, yeah, I'm getting this thing, but it doesn't make sense financially, economically, just the way the numbers work. Yeah, it's like, to your point is, lease it, especially as you look at what the residual is and everything like that. So you look at all the angles of it, position yourself better at the end of a 36-month lease, what have you. You could end up being ahead on it. I've seen instances, I'm sure Brad could concur with this too as well if he was on it, is the argument where when the lease was up, the person was so in the positive in regards to equity-wise that they had in the car because they went up in value, whatever, that the dealer was basically forcing them, telling them, no, you got to turn the car in. No, we're taking it. They wouldn't let them buy it. And it's like, yeah, they're like, no, it's right here in the contract, and seeing those type of scenarios as well. You really got to go in and understand what you're looking at, especially when you're talking what cars are valued at today, what you're paying. Having a 4-figure a month car payment, $1,400 a month, I mean, that's a mortgage payment for a majority of people.
You said something really important, William, and I need to pull on this thread. You said C4 Corvette. And spoiler alert for our audience out there, we're going to talk about Corvettes more at a future episode together. But I want to remind our audience too, if you go back in our catalog and listen to some of the What Should I Buys that William's been on, he was also a Fiero owner.
Heck yeah.
So we've gone from the Fiero to a C4 Corvette. So did the mullet get longer or shorter between those two cars?
It went from Mazda GLC to Fiero GT to Mustang GT.
Ooh, cruising in your 5.0.
Longer. Going on top, longer in the back. Oh, yeah. Got worse and worse, Then you get into the vet. That's when you get the chrome jacket with the Corvette down the arm and all the attire go balls out.
Your first pair of New Balances, did you get those
Oh,
too?
heck yeah. Oh, yeah. Hiking my jeans up to my nipples.
Before we go too far afield, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Tesla.
Well, do we have to?
Again, some more.
Oh, this is a staple within the show now. It's its own thing. It has morphed, mutated.
Executives quitting, that's kind of old news already at this point. I mean, that already happened before they laid off a bunch of people by having them just show up and their badge not working. We covered that last time.
The other thing that I love, Mr. Musk, I guess you say a brilliant move, charging, someone $24,000 for your self-driving and all these things, but pay me now for it. We'll get it to you eventually. Oh, but when we do, you're going to have to pay us more money. It's unbelievable how brainwashed these people are in regards to these Teslas because they tolerate it. I wouldn't tolerate that. If I was getting a car, I paid for that. Where is it?
And that's just it. I would love to know why they're quitting. Is Elon on a tear? Is he just firing people in a very apprentice sort of Trumpian way or whatever? Something else is going on. Or is the writing on the wall that Cybertruck, as Elon was quoted as saying, was going to bury them? And it's getting worse. And the stock is tumbling and all this stuff is happening. And where is the cheap $30,000 people's EV, the Model 2 and all this hokey pokey? And it's like, what exactly is going on? I rode in a Tesla just a couple weeks ago when I was in Tampa, and I pointed to the person I was riding with. We were in an Uber, and it's a brand new Tesla, Model Y, as a matter of fact. I've never ridden in a Model Y. And I pointed, and he just nods his head, and the whole seal of the door was like coming off. And when I got out of the car, it actually caught me, and I pulled it out, and I had to put it back. And I'm like, car's trying to strangle me. I was like, what? I've never experienced that in any other car where the stuff is like falling apart on me. And when I looked at it, it was like that door seal wasn't even formed correctly. It didn't meet up with the interior components. And I'm like, you pay all that money. Is it a status thing? Like, I don't understand.
Think about that. What other brand, if you bought a Ford, anything like that, and that was happening, just imagine recalled everything, just the backlash. Happens with Tesla, it's like, oh, that's just a Tesla. I don't get it. I mean, I would be furious, but they just seem to, that's just the way a Tesla is. It's shitty build quality, customer service sucks, and it's horrendous. I just don't get it. I don't know how people tolerate it. I use times. It's unfortunate.
This next one's pretty unfortunate too. Remember I talked about being in San Francisco and people were like, we don't have to worry about self-driving because soon we'll be communicating with our Teslas through the Neuralink. I just want to say, told ya, fail.
They haven't given up yet. Yes, their first human implant has had some difficulties. So apparently they put this little chip in you that has all these little thin diameter wires that they poke into your brain. And apparently like 85% of the wires have like retracted out from...
They were rejected by the body.
They were pointed into the motor cortex and 85% of that have retracted from the motor cortex. So they're there to send electrical impulses and stimulate motor function, and was put into a quadriplegic.
It made me have a flashback or think of the Big Bang episode when Wolowitz had that robotic arm and it got stuck on his, with Willie.
On his member, yes.
So I'm thinking the Neuralink's going to have that. Go to the emergency room. My Neuralink's got my Willie.
William, are you having a stroke or a software malfunction?
Yeah.
Did you try turning it off?
Did you turn it on and off? Did you reboot it?
I'm still shocked that they got FDA approval.
Yeah.
For human trials.
Are we sure about this, or is this more Musk money?
Self-certification there again.
Allegedly, it has FDA approval. Now, all disclosures around that been shared? Unclear. So I don't know. It's surprising because I mean that's a pretty serious apparatus. I mean it's pretty serious. You're manipulating the brain to have gotten approval with God knows what pre-testing, right? Because they would have had to have proven itself in some other form. That would have been part of criteria, is they would have had to have some sort of trial, non-human, that showed efficacy.
It was a rat. We all know it.
Of course, it would have been. Yeah,
With a
mice.
microchip on its head.
Yeah. What we're being told or what is being disclosed is what, 0.5%? But
For
I mean,
sure.
if that
Yeah.
it'd probably be scary, some of the stuff, all the documentation and what's been going on with that.
If we want to get to Star Trek level Borg nanomites, this is the way we got to go there, right? It's got to start somewhere. And then, miniaturization and perfection and Murphy's Law and all that
I mean,
kind of
that's
stuff.
what kind of this is, basically.
Tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists also believe we got nanomites through the COVID vaccine. But, hey, whatever.
No, it's Bill Gates. I've got Microsoft inside me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's anything else like older versions of Windows, it's destined to blue screen and not work. So it doesn't matter.
Something's gone wrong. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your face permanently goes into that blue
Yeah.
screen, smiley wink, and then you sit there and it makes that sound. What would a Tesla conversation be without some legal troubles?
They're constantly in legal struggles.
Is it over their certifications?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if that's out there too. We just don't know it, right? But I mean, they're still under litigation, etc., around the false claims of the self-driving, fully autonomous, blah, 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 BSBS, their line, BSBS, their line.
Come on, this makes you happy. You were on this soapbox for like 3 years straight. Like, come on, people. Now we have a class action lawsuit?
Well, I want to see it actually happen.
Somebody sent Tanya the $12 that they're going to receive from this lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done a class action lawsuit? All this rigmarole and all this stuff, and then you end up with a check for like $4.37. You're like, really? That was so not worth it.
Yeah, it shows up 5 years later too.
Yeah, you totally forgot about it. You're like, what was this even about? Like, I don't care.
I did one just for that purpose to find out. I think it came back as like $1 something.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point? You got to figure that's what those lawyers are hoping for, is no one bothers with it. So it's just more money for them.
That was like Dieselgate. They were buying back all the Volkswagens. And then they were like, so Bosch, what are you going to do to make people whole? Well, here's a $500 check. You're like, wait, what? Excuse me? It's better than zero, but still I was like, fine, whatever. Tesla news always sort of lowers my expectations.
Lowered expectations.
There's always a Tesla story that sort of crosses the boundary between TeslaGate and what we call low E here in the studio, or lowered expectations. And this one, I have to give a huge shout out to the special guest on the drive through a ways back. He's been a longtime fan of the show and supporter of Breakfix through Patreon. Mr. Mark Hewitt brought us this gem of Tesla news. You could see Tanya's face right now. Come on.
It's unfortunate.
We got to get some t-shirts made with that on there. It's unfortunate.
It's an unfortunate state of society. This poor individual, it was time to run a firmware update on the car, I guess. They were inside of it at the time, and okay, update now. Except I believe when the Teslas are doing their updates and whatnot, basically disables everything, essentially. All the electronics get paused. You're not supposed to drive the car. You're basically not supposed to do anything with it. I don't think you're supposed to engage anything. So I think they quite literally took that to be, I'm going to sit in the car this whole time. It's California. It's hot outside. The windows are up. The doors are closed. We all know what happens in the middle of the day to the interior of a car. Okay. The 3-digit temperatures it reaches, and she's in there sweltering, dying.
It was a sauna.
Her Chick-fil-A orders stayed nice and hot.
Oh my God. Except for that milkshake became hot chocolate.
Curdled a little bit. Well, here's the thing though. She's gotten 30 million views on it? Something like that?
And you got to wonder, like, how much of this is staged BS? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't trust half these videos you see on TikTok anymore because it's like, get real. This is acting.
Yes.
And maybe you could be ignorant to the fact that Teslas have manual door releases. You don't need the electronics to work. Like it's the one safety feature, I guess, that they have. That in an event of an emergency, you aren't trapped inside of it. Like there's this thing called an old-fashioned door handle, and you could release yourself. The driver could have done this that whole time. Maybe they didn't know it was a feature. I wouldn't have sat there going into heat stress, heat stroke while my freaking car is updating.
Here's your line says Tesla offers manual door releases for situations with depleted power, but Janelle opted to wait, fearing potential damage to her car.
How long did she opt to wait?
At least 24 minutes, because allegedly that was how long the update was going to take. If that's 24 minutes in computer time, that was anywhere from 24 minutes to like 3 hours.
Yeah.
We've all done Windows updates before. That is 100% accurate.
And then she makes the comment. She goes, inside my car, it's 103 degrees. She goes, so I'm slightly freaking out. I hope I don't run out of air. Also, you mean you can't go and pull that handle that you're aware of that'll open the door?
Oh my God.
And so she ended up being in there for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
At 115 degrees.
Probably she didn't pass out. Again, is this BS? She had like a cooler of water in there and she's like...
Again, it's a sauna.
Yeah, you start looking at this stuff and you're really kind of like, come on. You look, okay, how many followers did you gain out of that? I mean, because then you know in their mind they're thinking, oh, wow, I got 30 million, or even if it's half of that. Okay, I got to do something else now. They're going to do something else to try and get it.
Well, we're going to talk about one of those fools in a minute, too. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. This next one must make you smile, Tanya. How did you miss this?
I think it happened so fast that unless you were really acutely watching one of the episodes of The Good Place, you just would have missed it.
And what happened?
They were foreshadowing the dumpster fire that is the Cybertruck by literally having a picture of the Cybertruck, a billboard picture above a lit on fire dumpster.
And they sent it to the bad place. I love it.
That's just hilarious. How prophetic is that? It's perfect.
I'm sad. I need to go back and watch that episode.
This next one had me going. So did you see this bug?
I never listened to it, but I saw it.
Okay, 74 Volkswagen Super Beetle that they converted to an EV. I mean, that's been going on since the beginning of time. I don't have a problem with that. EV West has been putting EV packs in Porsches and VWs for forever, right? But you pop the hood at the car show and you look in there and you see a milk jug strapped to a crossbeam and you say to yourself, what the hell is that? Like, I mean, the old days as a racer, you're like, it wasn't uncommon to see like a Foster's can in somebody's engine compartment using it for like overflow for antifreeze or the vapor blowout from like the valve cover, you know, with the oil and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, fine. The milk jug is an alternative too. But what did this ingenious, clever automotive enthusiast do with this milk jug?
The little flappy handles on it, and it just goes like blub, 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 blub.
It makes it sound like the bug is idling with a flat four.
So is he in the car like pulling a lever and just making it go slap, 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 slap?
Got a little electric motor that's running off the
Okay.
batteries. It's like a child's toy. It sits there and it bangs on the milk jug and it makes it sound like it's idling. But the best part is if you watch the video, the guy's like at the very end, he's like, rev it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. This was definitely low E for sure. I'm like, oh. But, you know, good on him. I mean, we're talking about it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Speaking of talking about things, I hate talking about this next one.
You don't like talking about it because Whistling Diesel's involved because he's kind of a moron?
This is the guy, Tanya, that puts the wagon wheels on the Hellcat and turned the Tesla upside down.
What an
He's the
idiot.
one that cut the mirrors off of that Ferrari. Like, I wonder what this is going to be like. He did it with a Sawzall. I'm like, come on.
Put his F8 out in a cornfield, drive around and burn to the ground. And
It's like, it must be nice to have more
Where
money.
does he
than-
get the money to destroy this stuff?
got millions.
12-year-olds on YouTube watching his videos.
Yeah.
And Google pays him. Blah.
I'm trying to remember how many he's got. Just crap. I think it's like 20 million. So I don't know. He's got.
Well, he's got one less for me, but
So what's
Yeah.
this latest one that's saying his cameraman?
yeah. So apparently his cameraman might be going to jail for 5 years.
Yeah, and I can relate this because when I saw this, I kind of chuckled because since I have, we have our event coming up here soon, end of July. He was putting together the cars and coffee types events. You just kind of, hey, here's a place to meet, everything like that. Problem was, he was getting, people leaving, burnouts, everything like that. the police were trying to find some way to get him. He's to blame. He's the one organizing everything like that. They went after him for organizing these events, some about inciting riots. So it's like they went hardcore, like right to the top. And it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's DA in this situation doing this because it's just like, okay, you're just a real prick. And either you got a lot of time on your hands or something like that. But all this kid did, or guy, whatever you want to call it, just organize some cars and coffee type events. They got pissed off because, business around the place, people are leaving, doing burnouts like that. So they went after him. And it's sad. At first you kind of chuckled about it, but then all of a sudden it got pretty damn real when the charges got filed, and he's looking at 5 years in prison. And I'm trying to remember what the fine was. 6-digit figure.
The Whistling Diesel guy or
The cameraman.
Camera guy.
oh, so the camera guy of Whistling. So it's not technically associated with the Whistling Diesel guy.
You would think, all right, I'm Whistling Diesel, and this is my camera guy and whatnot. Hey, I got your back, man. Don't worry about it. Whatever, we'll pay it, blah, blah. Not once have I seen anywhere has Whistling Diesel stepped up and says, hey, man, I got his, we'll get it taken care of. That. Not once. It's just like, no, you're on your own. Fucking rude.
Speaking of rude, this next one got under my skin pretty hard, and it should upset pretty much every petrol head on the face of the planet once you read this article. Study links preference for loud cars to some unsurprising personality traits. And I'm going to sum this up by saying that some professor somewhere doing a study of some things and this and that, they surveyed X amount of small portion of people and said that basically if you like the sound of the exhaust on your Porsche, Mustang, AMG Mercedes, VR6, it doesn't matter what it is, you're either a sadist or a psychopath. I was like, excuse me, what? First, I was like, is this a freaking April Fool's article? Because I was like, there's no way this is real science. And there's words thrown in here, Machiavellian, and like all this. I'm like, ugh, what bookworm wrote this? Like, have you ever been to a track day? Have you experienced what motorsports is about? Why people might like loud cars? And I'm not saying they need to be loud to the point that they're obnoxious, because there is a modicum of just overbearing. Some engines can be really annoying when they're uncorked, but some of them are just absolutely delightful. And there's an Instagram response to this that I thought was absolutely amazing. And the senator is quoted in this Instagram reel as saying, "Modified exhaust systems serve no purpose other than to create fear, chaos, and intimidation." And there's like a news reporter, actual car fans. And then it's a 911 GT3 RS doing just a flat out burnout from the start line. And it just sounds glorious. I was like, amen, brother. That is the response to this. Like, throw all your exhaust sounds at these people, because to us, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's music. Is there anything like a multi-Weber V12 Ferrari?
Oh, trust. Oh, yeah. To your point, like it's almost like it's a musical note. It's a symphony. How is that a dark trait?
Right?
You're relating this to, a symphony, to music, and you're trying to say dark trait. It's just, those are people starting these things. They already have bad intent going in to try and prove their opinion. It's unfortunate. Where did you pick these 500? It's like the results were preordained in regards to this. They just went through the hoops or did what they had to do to make it look legit.
Somebody's grant money paid for that. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. They got a $50,000 or $60,000 grant. Here you go. Research this for a year.
I got so many things I could say to this, but just that 911, amen. That's it, man. I mean, there's plenty of other great sounding cars out there, but yeah, if you don't get it, you don't get it, right? I mean, it is what it is. This next reel on Instagram.
See, that's an example of a psychopath.
I cannot believe this.
Like, what the is that?
How long are those pipes?
Can it actually get under the stoplight?
I was wondering that too, because those things look like they're 20 feet tall.
I mean, it could be the camera angle, with all due respect to perspective, but dang.
So, okay, I know the JDM guys are into doing all sorts of crazy stuff, but here we have a new Supra, the new Supra BMW combination, and he's put these exhaust pipes on it that go straight up like a cartoon, and they are at least 20 feet tall. The car doesn't sound any different. It just sounds like a Supra. But I'm also asking myself, how the hell does he support these? How does it not break the exhaust? How are they braced? And to your point, Tanya, how does he clear the traffic light?
Where that bends at, coming out from underneath the car, such a stress point just from that weight going up. I mean, one thing was going straight up at 90 degrees, but that's at an angle. So you have that stress point right there at that bend, whatever degrees it may be. Then the pressure underneath, your point that's farther up underneath the car is getting pushed.
And it's constantly under load. It's constantly, bouncing because every little imperfection in the road, it's just swinging.
There's no brace going between it, so they're independent of each other.
This is so stupid.
It's almost like that, inflatable dude.
Yes. Yes.
The Burning Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The person driving behind them, man, they're brave because that thing falls down. That's going to do some damage to somebody's head.
I was just about to say that.
What are those movies?
Final Destination.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be like that. That thing's going to come through the windshield like a bazooka.
That shit's hot. Woo!
All that pipe, all that money, it's better stainless steel than the Cybertruck. But the point is, it doesn't sound any different. So it sort of proves the point that as ridiculous as those, let's call them stacks are, because that's sort of what he's trying to do, like a tractor trailer, except 3 times taller, it makes no difference in the sound of the car. I mean, you would have been better off doing a side exit cutoff like they do in the race cars if you want it to sound different.
He's gotten pulled over a bunch of times.
He has to.
There's people getting pulled over for the weirdest stuff, and this guy's out on the road. It must be in Florida.
There's no way that's like legal.
Yeah, it can't be. There's just no way. It's just not safe. But yeah, it looks like it's Florida.
This next one, we have normally reserved for lowered expectations. I have given Tanya and Brad a homework assignment month after month. But I figured, William, since you're here from the Exotic Car Marketplace as our resident Ferrari expert, I'm bumping this to rich people things. I'm going to ask Tanya one last time. Did you watch the Ferrari movie?
Yes, I did, because I said I would last time.
Yay!
All right. What is this movie about, and who is it about exactly?
Obviously, it's called Ferrari. It's about him. But see, that's the thing. I didn't know what it was actually about because it could be about so many different things going into it, right? As the movie progressed, okay, are we going down this avenue? Well, we're not. So we're going to go down this avenue. We're really not. And then you get towards the end and it's like, oh, we're going down this avenue. Is that what the whole thing has been about?
So you understand my point now when I say, who is this movie about?
And I'm being cryptic because I don't know if we want to give spoilers.
That's up to you guys.
I'm sure everyone's either they're watching now or, I've watched it 6 times already.
Immediately you realize, okay, this is not like some sort of documentary of biography of his life, right? Because you enter it, he's already of a certain age. The company already exists. It's not about him and where he grew up from and how it even came to be Ferrari. That's not what the movie is about. Thought maybe it was. For a while, I thought it was the equivalent of Ford versus Ferrari. Ferrari versus Maserati.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so there's going to be some like sort of unknown battle between the early days of Maserati and Ferrari. Okay, this could be interesting. And then it really wasn't. And then, you were wondering, well, we've already into the man's life. Is it about his wife?
Exactly.
And his illegitimate child and all this stuff? No, it really wasn't. And then it's like, okay, we're going racing. Cool. It's like, okay, well, we know the outcome of what happens.
Yeah, the 57 millimeter, yeah.
Yeah. With the tone of the movie up to that point, it was very shocking. And then I read a little bit afterward, and it intentionally made the scene of the crash that basically ended that race ever happening again.
That's a hardcore. Even for the CGI doing that, man, that was brutal.
I mean, I read that they tried to make it pretty much like this is basically what would have happened. Like they tried to be like realistic with it. And it's just like the tone of the movie, then it was like, whoa, we just went there. And it's like the carnage and the chaos. And it was just like, that is emotional.
Well, Michael Mann actually had met when he went to the site, whatever. There was actually an old guy now, but he was one of the kids per se that were sitting at the table and went out.
Yeah.
Was actually there, and he got that viewpoint from someone that was there.
Right.
if it was the aftermath or he was standing close, whatever, but he really wanted to make a statement with that scene, and it leaves an impression on you. That's like a holy, oh, Jesus Christ.
It definitely did. And it's interesting kind of reading more on the history of that accident. It was like the people that were like super up close on the road actually fared better, even survived than some of the people that were a little bit further away from the road, apparently, which is just like, it's all just mind blowing. I mean, it's similar to the wreck at Le Mans where the guy went into the stands too, right? I mean, he obliterated even dozens more people, I think, than that accident.
Yeah.
Not to make it any less tragic than it was. So that happened. And you're like, okay, so how deep are we going to get into the litigation and all that stuff? Because basically it was like they're blaming Ferrari, and I don't know, they went through it really fast. They were exonerated basically that it wasn't defect of the car or their negligence of sending the car out with improper tires and this, that, and the other. They went back, and the safety people that did the investigation and all that had gone back and concluded that it was the reflector basically in the road that punctured the tire and sent the Ferrari catapulting through the air and ricocheting off poles and stuff. So I don't know what the movie was about in the end, because there were just so many things. And you say that there were so many things going on, and it's not that it was super even disjointed. I don't want to say it flowed. I mean, I guess it did. It had a weird string that it followed, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't necessarily go in with an expectation either, so I wasn't left super disappointed. I wasn't like, this is the best movie ever. Like, I mean, in terms of like seeing a movie like The Ford versus Ferrari, right? Like that was just, I don't know, that was very different versus this. I guess, maybe have an expectation that maybe it was going to be kind of on a level like that. Like you were going to get that history, that story, how he rose to the success and all that. And it wasn't necessarily.
It was very dark.
Maybe that movie's still out there to come.
And oddly enough, it's based on the book that's on William shelf, and it's behind me on my shelf if you're watching the video version of this, Brock Yates's Enzo biography, which is a tome if there ever was one. It is a big book.
There's a ton of content out there to make a very compelling and captivating movie, but it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, I don't know what to think about it.
You got to go into it. Obviously, a disclaimer, but like when I watched it the first time, that's one thing. I went and saw it for the first showing that day when they had it out, but kind of put out and say, look, people got to remember, this is not a documentary.
Right, exactly.
That's the thing. It's just a movie. It's entertainment.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that aren't lining up line-wise. Or just,
right.
Look, this is just for entertainment. Don't take it so serious. But so many people, oh my God, it was over on this. It's like, that's not what it was for.
No.
And then watching, it's like, but if he had like another 45 minutes or an hour lengthwise it was in there, he might have been able to fill in and complete some of the things and kind of run it off. It'd be interesting to see if he comes out at some point in time with the director's cut.
Yeah.
They filmed a lot of the stuff.
Well, as long as that doesn't end up like the Justice League director's cut, which was a completely different movie. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I will say that it was neat seeing how they blended some of the old footage in with the new, they did that pretty well. They clearly brought out some real cars, or at least some replicas in certain scenes. The sounds were pretty nice. I mean, if you're a psychopathic, narcissistic, Machiavellian sadist.
Exactly.
They did have a couple real ones, but majority of them were all replicas that were made by, I'm trying to remember the name of the place, but they did a phenomenal job with those, putting together, because obviously those vehicles today from then, especially the winning car, are worth so many millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, of course. I felt like there were a few scenes where like, okay, we pulled them out, probably they might be the real ones. And then of course the scenes where it's like the Maserati and stuff is like careening down the field. I'm like, yeah, that's not a real one.
It's an Altima.
Yeah, so watch it and you see that they actually use some actual footage. I thought that was really cool. Gave you that feel for it, because you got some of these other ones where it's all CGI. They make shit up or whatever. Like in Ford versus Ferrari, they're out at the whatever track, they're going 30 miles an hour, but then they speed it. That kind of shit is like, no, they use actual footage, which I thought was really good. And as we know, is Michael Mann's a hell of a director. So
it doesn't hold a candle to, let's say, Ford versus Ferrari or Rush and some of the other films that have come out. It's in a different league than, let's say, Le Mans, some of the classics. It does step above films like the Ferruccio Lamborghini movie that came out a couple years, right?
God,
that was terrible.
Yes.
So there's some garbage out there for sure. So it's at the top end of the middle if we look at it that way. But I also want to bring up, Brad said he did watch it. So by proxy, I just want to say that, he said he got emotional watching the film, and I'm allowed to make fun of him because he's not here. And I don't think he got emotional over the Deportago wreck. I think he got emotional over seeing Patrick Dempsey as an old man in this film.
Now, I was going to bring that up, not the emotional thing. I think it was the car crash based on the timestamp, but the Dempsey thing, I didn't realize he was in the movie, and then you don't see him till like a good, I feel like 45 minutes in, and they're like at the dinner table or something. You're like, wait a second, because he didn't say anything. He was just sitting at the table. I think he said like one word, and he's got like white hair, and I was like, is that Patrick Dempsey?
Yep.
And I'm like, you're only, and then I'm like,
Silver Fox.
and I had to look it up, and I was like, it is Patrick Dempsey. And then like you don't see him again for like another 30 minutes, I think. You're only in this movie because you probably got to drive like one of the real Ferraris for like 5 seconds.
Or he owns one of them. You
Or
never
he owns
know.
one of
Right?
them. Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting if you look up who they used as a lot of the drivers and stuff like that they snagged to do it. There's some really interesting people that they utilize to drive the cars.
Former Formula One guys, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, I think if you put that all together, that's what brings it to the top of the middle, right? The bottom of those upper echelon films like Rush and the other ones we mentioned. I think if you want more in depth, if you want to learn more, and Tanya, I don't know if you've already listened to the 2-part episode that William, Professor Summers, and I did together about the history of the Mille Miglia, but we do cover the crash. We do cover 57, the turning point, what happened to the Mille Miglia after that. So it is all based on true events and true stories, but there's a lot more to all of those characters at the table, to include the character that Dempsey is portraying. And so it's like when you really dive into the history, especially 54 to 57, it is action packed. The cars are amazing. Ferrari really is starting to come into his own. And to your point, that's what's missing from the film, but that would be an 8-hour documentary at that point. Hell, it was a 3-hour podcast split in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 2-hour movie and we didn't even scratch the surface.
So it's all good stuff. I'm glad you finally watched it, and I'm glad you now understand what I've been asking every month. What is this movie about? Who is this movie about? So now you get it. Now you understand. And William, we're going to dive in more into the Ferrari movie later this year too, because John wants to revisit that and compare it to all the research we did about the Mille Miglia. So that's going to be interesting as well.
It's going to be good fun. It'll be fun sitting there listening to John talk.
We kid because we care, and he's not here, so we can poke fun.
We love you, John. We love you, baby.
Well, with that, it's time we go down south and talk about alligators and beer.
Ding, 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 ding.
Where in the world are we this time?
Well, we're going to start in the mid-Atlantic.
Oh, that's close to home.
We're going to pull our Tesla thread.
Oh, no.
So apparently, Delaware, New Jersey area, it's all confusing.
Let's call it Wilmington.
Sure, somebody stole a Cybertruck.
That was their first mistake.
It ensued high-speed chase. Well, not a high-speed chase, a police chase. There was no high speed here. And I thought it funny reading through because I'm like, where is this going to end? Because he took it out on a dirt road. I was like, I mean, arguably mistake number 1 was stealing the Cybertruck, depending how you look at that. But mistake number 2, definitely like you took it on an unpaved road. But it didn't get stuck, as I assumed it probably was going to do.
How many body panels fell off?
Well, we'll get there. No, just kidding. But I like the way the person wrote this, and I will just read from their article. And so a chase ensued. The police said the driver ignored all signals to pull over. One imagines the otherworldly-looking stainless steel coffin, which weighs close to 7,000 pounds, piggishly bumbling its way across unpaved roads with powerful jerks of acceleration, gracing those backwoods like a meandering UFO.
Got AI written all over it.
The imagery here, the imagery.
Chat GPT.
Yeah, I was wondering, did ChatGPT,
But needless to say, the hot pursuit ended. The guy ended up just pulling over and they arrested him, blah, blah, blah. But wow, our first Tesla Cybertruck robbery.
What's with the $4,002 bond?
That's it?
$4,002. Why? What's with the $2?
That's the processing fee.
Yeah, he uses debit card.
It's been a minute since we've had actual Florida man.
So we have a
stories.
legit Florida man one here. And
Are you sure?
well, the Florida person. So It's not correlated, it's adjacent because he stole a boat and a UTV, whatever. Anyway, some sort of,
How do you steal a boat and a UTV?
I don't know, but he did, or he tried to, and then he dressed as a woman. Rather unconvincing one.
Yeah.
I mean, the picture's pretty good.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, like that wig is like a broom mop on his head. And then the 5 o'clock shadow is quite evident.
He has a goatee. Oh, wow.
I mean, lovely dress. I like the pairing with the little white sweater, you know.
That's a very unfortunate looking woman.
You have a hell of an ensemble there, my friend.
Points for your ensemble, but let's give it to the Okeechobee County Police that they spotted him. They did not get the wool pulled over their eyes on this
No,
one.
I think he could have used a better pair of sunglasses to really sell it.
Those Macho Man Randy Savage things are in style again. The Vipers, they call them, right? I don't get
Yes.
it.
Oh my God. I've been staring at them going, what are those from? Absolutely. Yes.
Florida never disappoints. You know, it's been a minute. Like I said, it's summertime. The eggs are hatching. The crazy is coming out. There's going to be more Florida Man stories for sure. So now it's time we go behind the pit wall and talk about motorsports news. So Tanya and William, you guys are big fans of open wheel racing. What's going on in the world of Formula One?
Minicali making that statement that possibly for 2030, next set of new regs would come out.
Oh my God.
To bring back the noise and I guess really make a big change. Obviously, that's ways away, but that would be a dream. Especially after watching Seb and listening to Seb drive Senna's McLaren MP4, whatever that was. God, that thing sounded just so glorious. Oh, that thing was beautiful. We've seen some mix-up, which is great. Lando comes out of Miami and wins, which was awesome to see.
Wait. Verstappen, the king of being 50 seconds ahead of everybody, didn't win a race. What happened? Did he catch on fire again?
What was the argument everyone's trying to say, which was, well, you know, with the safety car, timing-wise, blah, blah, blah. But in simulations and whatnot, they basically put out that Lando probably would have caught him and passed him.
Oh,
But
Wasn't it also like he hit that bollard and then it was like
yeah,
my traction, I have my car.
yeah, all this nonsense. So
excuses.
of course, yeah, because then he went to the next race at Imola, and Lando, what was it, 0.7 seconds at the finish line? You know, he was catching him. One more lap, he would have had him, you know, and would have had two in a row. Now, we know we got Monaco coming up, and that's just a procession going around the track unless someone stuffs in the wall. You always pray for rain at that race because that's the one you're going to watch start to finish.
Yeah.
But when it's that, you watch the start, you peek in about an hour in, and then you come at the end and watch the finish because it's a procession going through. And Tanya, maybe you agree, is the big news is Mr. Adrian Newey scattering on off into the sunset.
And maybe that's why the Red Bull's not doing so well. He took the magic with him.
Him taking his gardening leave, but the power he had, if he wanted to go somewhere ASAP, he could. But
He's going to go to Haas.
Well, that whole story is unclear because he's still technically with Red Bull because he's developing like their LMP car or whatever, or their prototype or whatever it is. So he's still working on that project. So he's technically not going to another F1 team.
Guess he's going to WEC instead.
his big thing, he really stayed in F1 is when the reg, ground effects and everything like that. It was such a big change. It intrigued him, it got his juices flowing like that because it wasn't just the same old BS coming through and designing it. Now it's just the engine change here coming in 2026. Everyone's saying he's going to come back with somebody.
Probably.
He's only, 65?
He's as old as Alonso. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. If we were back when there was no budget caps or nothing, I would say that this would have had a really big effect for the rest of the season, obviously, because you got so many races. So a lot of people could catch up and start throwing money. But now with the budget cap, it's not like people are just going, oh, he's gone, we got it. A lot of stuff's already set in place. They have the program set where, okay, we had upgrades coming for this and at this point, and that's it. You can't fill stuff in. So it'll be interesting how the rest of the season plays out. McLaren's made their strides. Aston Martin came out with a couple and it didn't do squat. It's getting interesting. It's not the same old BS.
Honestly, I didn't renew my subscription. So I've been only going back and watching highlights because honestly, I was waiting to see because if it's like another season of, Verstappen's 50 seconds ahead of the next guy, it's like a snooze fest because like every race was a train race and it was like 2 minutes of action. However, maybe season's actually turning a corner and there's a little bit more competition going on. And as was just said, it's like McLaren's knocking on their door, he's not 50 seconds ahead. He's ending only at less than a second ahead. Wow, maybe there's some interesting fights that can happen now. He's no longer hot lapping by himself under zero pressure. Let's see how you do when you're no longer out there by yourself and you've got someone breathing down your neck.
And he's being they call it a war bot, whatever, because this past weekend, he was racing in a virtual Nürburgring 24-hour race. They won it too. And they came out, the fact is he actually did 6 hours in the seat for that thing.
Wow.
I mean, the guy's
a machine.
Well, that's the excuse. He was tired.
Yeah.
He couldn't pull ahead.
He's not that far ahead points-wise, whatnot, so I said. So it could get really interesting in the next 6-7 races. I think that will dictate in regards to how things play out, if people have caught up or whatnot. Because obviously Red Bull's going to come out with some upgrades too. It remains to be seen what happens now that the big brain's gone.
Well, you mentioned Seb driving Senna's McLaren at Imola, which is another great tribute to probably one of the greatest F1 drivers of all time. And we can argue about that till the cows come home. And we did on a special tribute episode of our own with Professor Summers. And we went back and looked at the life of Senna and then the 30 years since his passing, because Senna would have been in his 60s this year, kind of like Alonso. But all jokes aside, it was really funny because guest of the show, friend of the show, Elizabeth Blackstock, got on the opposite end of this discussion. She's got a new show that's come out as well since she's sort of separated from Donut and everything, Deadly Passions and Terrible Joys. And on there, she's like, I'm so tired of hearing about Senna and Senna tributes and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, that is an interesting dynamic. It is very polarizing compared to everybody else paying homage and reverence to Senna and his life and things like that. And I think we kind of took a middle of the road approach to that, right, William? Where we sort of looked at it and said, is he still as good as? Does he still qualify? If we put him in today's lens or if we go backwards in time. And John was very good about framing that whole conversation. And where did we end up with all that?
Was he the GOAT? You can't make that argument because of just difference in regards to the machinery. If you do an actual breakdown, someone did an awesome graphic. They did it from the start of F1 back, in the 50s when they started from the first race all the way. And they had it going as the points and everything like that. When they first started, they only had 6 races in a year. So you start looking at the win ratios and everything like that. Fangio's record, I don't think you can make that argument. Was he a hell of a driver? Yeah. Could he drive the ass off a cart? Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You're just talking difference machinery, everything like that. And it's just hard to say. I personally look at Fangio in my mind is, he's up there, but it's either Jim Clark or Andretti because of their ability to drive and win in anything.
Yeah, they're all-arounders.
Yes. I mean, you're not talking just open wheel. I mean, racing in, Le Mans, winning at Indy, I mean, that's still open wheel, but totally different discipline. The ability to get into a tin top, get into a single-seater, unbelievable talent there. In my mind, I think that makes you more of an all-around, greatest of all time.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Indy because, there are different disciplines of open wheel racing out there and America won't be outdone. We don't have the same problems that they have overseas, some Dutch guy running away 50 seconds ahead of everybody doing a time trial by himself. No, we have items like a mannequin falling from the track and landing near the track and drivers are freaking out, because we have to adorn our racetracks with all sorts of paraphernalia. But if you've ever been to Barber Motorsports Park, it's really par for the course. It's probably one of the most manicured and most accessoried tracks in the United States. It's gorgeous. But when I read about this mannequin basically falling on the track, I was like, well, there we go. And we wonder why people laugh at us.
Yeah, that was funny. That was hilarious.
Well, switching gears a little bit to WRC, I promised I wasn't going to talk about WRC news, but since we're heading into the summer, I have been getting caught up on WRC. Obviously, their events are much more spaced out. They happen basically once a month starting in January or thereabouts, sometimes twice a month. Portugal happened this month, which has some of the biggest air of any event on the WRC schedule. So if you want to see cars flying, Portugal is the one to tune into. The Italian rally comes up later in June. But if anybody was curious from our discussions last year, TK, also known as Takamoto Katsuda, is still crashing. He's crashing less than last season, but I still watch every stage saying to myself, it's really not if, it's when TK crashes. So more to come on the WRC scene when we get together with John Summers, the motoring historian, who is also an avid rally fan, along with some other guests you might recall from Break Fix that you don't know are rally fans. So we'll be coming to the table to do a special WRC episode, not only talking about the new stuff, but looking back into the past, all the way back into group Group B and beyond. So look forward to that later in the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. And in the WEC camp, we are only weeks away, folks, from not only Father's Day, but the Super Bowl of Super Bowls, the World Championship of Racing, the Le Mans 24 Hours. So this will be the 101st anniversary of Le Mans, the 92nd running of the event on June 15th and 16th. But for some of us, we're not going to be going to France. We got other things planned, and we're going to be headed to Detroit for a special ACO USA viewing party, which is also going to have an exclusive activation where we're going to be unveiling Le Mans Ultimate there at M1 Concourse in Detroit, one of the newest racetracks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a weekend full of Le Mans and racing and petrol heads. Hope and Williams going to be there. But also, we were very fortunate to be able to put together another evening with a legend. So you can go back and catch that on our Patreon right now. We had one of the most famous ladies in racing, Lynn St. James. She stopped by and got behind the microphone to talk about in more detail than in Break Fix episode number 142, her 2 attempts at Le Mans. A lot of people don't know that she ran at Le Mans once in 1989 and the other one that she, quote, doesn't like to talk about in 1991. So you get the uncut behind the scenes access to that on our Patreon right now. You can see all the bloopers, all the comments, Lynn telling her story, getting emotional about things and whatnot. That's at patreon.com/GT Motorsports. Look for that episode to be digitally remastered later in the season for the general public to consume. But if you want to become a member of the ACO and get exclusive access to the WEC feed of the 24 Hours of Le Mans straight from France, if you want to be part of upcoming events like the M1 Concourse event in Detroit and others, we have links to how you can become an ACO member in our show notes. It's actually really, really cheap. You get a lot of benefits, discounts at the store, Le Mans swag, all sorts of really cool stuff. And if you're planning ahead, maybe a little road trip all the way to San Diego, the ACO is going to be holding an event called Blown Away 2. It's the last event that they're going to be holding on the America's Cup yacht before it sets sail around the world again. It's an evening with legends live in person. It's a cruise out of the San Diego Marina, and you'll be able to sit down and talk with legends of Le Mans in person. Great meal, great atmosphere, music. I'll be there because I'm the host of Evening with a Legend, and what's an Evening with a Legend event without its host? So I'm looking forward to seeing other fans of WEC and the 24 Hours of Le Mans out there at Blown Away 2 in August out in San Diego. And I mentioned Le Mans Ultimate, the newest sim racing game to hit the streets. It's available now on Steam. It's no longer a prototype, generally available to everybody that has access to a PC. We put together, in conjunction with MIE Racing, a time trials in preparation for this upcoming activation to figure out which is the fastest LMP1 hybrid GTP, whatever class you want to use in the game. And so we broke it down by the car, all the hot laps, all the data. It's all there for you. It's available in our show notes, but also on our YouTube page. So check that out. Some really interesting results. And there's an article that goes along with that on MIE Racing, giving you pointers and some suggestions about which car you should think about choosing if you want to attempt the full 24 hours, which you can do in Le Mans Ultimate. It's the only game since a game called Total Immersion Racing where you can run the 24 hours of Le Mans. So it's pretty cool. And with that, our motorsports news is brought to us in partnership by the International Motor Racing Research Center. Just want to point out, we mentioned last month, May 11th was the first center conversation for the season. It featured the Purdy Deuce and other super modifieds and personalities from Circle Track and Sprint Car Racing, along with a conversation around the history of Oswego Speedway. It was the highest attended center conversation to date for the IMRRC, with over 200 people in attendance. So we're going to be hosting and remastering that footage as soon as we get it, and we'll bring that to you as part of the Motoring Podcast Network. They also have another center conversation coming up called The Greatest Corvette Story Ever Told. It's about the Camarati Corvette, which participated at Le Mans back in the 60s, and it will be on display at the IMRRC to see in June. And then in September, there's the Cameron R. Argetsinger Award for Outstanding Contributions to Motorsports. And guess what? They revealed the honoree this year, and that's Zak Brown. Yes, Zak Brown, CEO of McLaren Formula One. You can still buy tickets to attend the event, So hop over to racingarchives.org and click on store to purchase your seat at the table and see Zach Brown in person. And don't forget, November 1st through the 2nd at Watkins Glen International is the Michael R. Argetzinger Symposium on Motorsports History, which will be live streaming for folks that can't make it out to the Glen. But if you're in the area, take a road trip. If you've never been to the Glen, one of the prettiest places in New England and one of the best racetracks, in my opinion. So come on down to the Glen and check out the symposium while you're there. So, William, we got to take it home. It's time to wrap it up to talk about different events and special things that are going on. So you've got something in the works for this summer. People should be making a road trip to where?
West side of Cleveland, just get here July 28th. We have our inaugural Rock and Revs event to support our charities we're working with. Aluminum cans for burned children. We work with all the local fire departments, collecting aluminum cans, drop-off bins at every fire station in the area. Fundraising events and donations. Children that have been injured in fires, we send to a summer and winter camp. Then whatever else we could help them out with in their home for mobility, what have you. But then also with Island Safe Harbor Animal Sanctuary. They are located up in Marblehead. Nancy and her team up there do great things with animals that are close to being euthanized or just people they're old and whatnot, just don't want to deal with them. She'll take them in and she loves them and puts back to health and gets them out there. So it's two great entities that we're doing some fundraising for, but the event itself is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a very wide range and eclectic things of vehicles there. We got Wixie 1260 radio station. They play 60s, 70s, 80s rock. They're going to be coming. We're going to have some other supporting businesses and stuff like that there. But the fun thing is, right next door is the fair's going to be going on for Fairview Park, where we have all the fair rides, all the fair food, and everything like that going on. So if you bring your kids to check out all the cool cars, you can walk right over, literally take you a minute, if that, to walk over and go on all the fair rides. So it's going to be a lot of fun putting everything together. Eric's coming up for it. Don's coming up from Texas to help out. So we're going to have a thing set up for MPN as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But the other cool thing you can do is if you go on to Exotic Car Marketplace, and you also go into the Collector Car Guide site, you can get listing of majority events throughout the country and kind of get things narrowed down and check out what's going on in your region. Summertime in the United States, it's time to hit the shows, car shows, events, racing events, everything like that. There's always something going on every weekend. So you got good resources to go and find out any event you want to go check out. Definitely recommend getting yourself on there and seeing what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Well, you're right about that, William, because not only is it car show season, it's track day season. In our constant reminder that you need to get off the couch and go to the track, HPDEjunkie.com is your source for planning your track season. Look no further than HPDEjunkie.com for an up-to-date list of events from all across North America on their website. You can filter by location and find the perfect high-performance driver's education event for you. And be sure to keep an eye out on our motorsports calendar on gtmotorsports.org/events to learn about other special events happening in various different disciplines of motorsport that you shouldn't miss. And we just uploaded things like circle track racing at Bridgeport and Honey Grove. And we've got other things like 410 races listed. I mean, all sorts of events are coming our way, and we're listing those out on our motorsports calendar. So lots of things to check out in the Trackside Report.
We just crested 346 episodes of Break Fix while you've been listening to this episode. But more importantly, we've expanded our catalog as part of our new Motoring Podcast Network, where you can enjoy programs like The Ferrari Marketplace, The Motoring Historian, Evening with a Legend, The History of Motorsport series, Break Fix, and others. Search for Break/Fix or Grand No D Touring everywhere you download, stream, or listen. And be sure to check out www.motoringpodcast.net for reviews of the shows, new episodes, bios of our on-air personalities, and descriptions of the services we offer.
All right, guys, we are on Patreon, but did you know you can sign up for Patreon for free? There's lots of great extras and bonuses even on the free tier. But if you'd like to become a Break Fix VIP, jump on over to patreon.com/GT Motorsports and learn about our different tiers, join our Discord, or become a member of the GTM Clubhouse by signing up at club.gtmotorsports.org. Drop us a line on social media or visit us on the Facebook group page. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Give us some ideas for the future shows. We're open ears.
And remember, for everything we talked about on this episode and more, be sure to check out the follow-on article and show notes available at gtmotorsports.org.
So a big thank you to our co-host and executive producer, Tanya, and all the fans, friends, and family who support GTM and the Motoring Podcast Network. Without you, none of this would be possible.
And a big shout out to our Most returningest guest co-host of the drive-through, William Big Money Ross. Thank you again for stepping into Brad's size 14 loafers and filling in for him this month. And we look forward to seeing you on one of our many road trips this month.
Oh, plenty of coming. We're going to have a good summer this year. It's going to be a great summer.
Outro.
Outro. All right.
All in one take. Can you believe that?
Returning us. There's some big words, these new words coming out. That's impressive.
Barely. That last sentence was throwing me. Like this isn't reading correctly. Just keep going.
Thanks, guys.
Well, here we are in the drive-through line. Me and her. Cars in front of us, cars in back of us, all just waiting to order. There's some idiot in a Volvo with his bright sun behind me. I lean out the window and scream, hey, what you trying to do, blind me? My wife says maybe we should park.
We hope you enjoyed another awesome episode of Break Fix Podcast, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or get involved, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Grand Touring Motorsports. And if you'd like to learn more about the content of this episode, be sure to check out the follow-on article at gtmotorsports.org. We remain a commercial-free and no annual fees organization through our sponsors, but also through the generous support of our fans, families, and friends through Patreon. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can get access to more behind-the-scenes action, additional pit stop minisodes, and other VIP goodies, as well as keeping our team of creators fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, gummy bears, and Monster. So consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without you, none of this would be possible.